Hey everyone, welcome back to another video from Harry Potter Folklore, and thank you for the continued support. Has anyone ever wondered why Tom Riddle changed his name to Lord Voldemort? Or better yet, why he created an entirely new persona when so many people already respected him from his academic achievements while he was a student at Hogwarts? Did anyone actually recognize that this Lord Voldemort was once Tom Riddle? Were the physical changes that different? Because to me, it seems that many people did not in fact recognize him. Not everyone, but the majority anyway. Let's continue the video. Welcome back guys, so we're gonna go into detail about why Tom Riddle decided to change his name to Lord Voldemort and basically adapt a new persona while leaving his past behind him. It's quite an interesting topic of discussion, and I've put together what I believe is a valid argument for the exact reason as to why Tom Riddle embraced such a drastic change. So it's no surprise to many that Tom Marvolo Riddle was an academic magical marvel while he was a student at Hogwarts. He excelled in all of his subjects, was top of his class, and was hailed as the greatest student to grace the halls of Hogwarts since Albus Dumbledore himself. Even word of his ability had circulated outside of the school. Ministry officials waited in excitement to see what his next move would be once he left Hogwarts. Maybe he would revolutionize the Aura department and finally bring an end to all crime in the wizarding world. Perhaps he'd take over as the head of magical law enforcement and crack down on the corruption within. Or maybe he'd go all the way to the top and take the role of Minister for Magic himself, possibly becoming the greatest minister in history. That is the level that Tom Riddle was at. That was his level of skill, level of maturity. He was unrivaled. Instead, he took a job at Borgin & Burke as an assistant, to the shock and disappointment of so many. Tom thrived on convincing unwilling wizards and witches to part with their valuables for less than their actual value, something he was rather good at. Who knows, perhaps some believed he would one day take over the store as the new owner. Unfortunately, that would not be the case. He disappeared for 10 years without a trace, no explanation, no forwarding address, as if he had become a missing person almost. The person that returned was not the one that had left a decade earlier. Tom Riddle was no more. In its place was Lord Voldemort, an unstable, psychopathic demon with an inability to feel any sort of compassion or empathy. A man who had spent 10 years in isolation, experimenting and pushing the boundaries of magic to its limits. A man who had split his soul in order to achieve immortality and had a goal to overthrow the ministry and take control of the wizarding world. Seems a long way from the young boy who had just graduated Hogwarts with the world at his feet. So the question is, why the change? Let's first take a look at the name he took before we actually look at the name he left behind. Then we'll take a look at the persona that eventually consumed him. So, Lord Voldemort. Well, let's look at Lord. Why Lord? Well, to me, that's obvious enough. Tom always felt like he was above others. He thought there was nobody like him. Even in the orphanage, he believed he was special, more special than anybody else, and worth so much more than the other children. He didn't just believe like he was above the rules. He felt like he should be the one making them. Therefore, giving himself the title of Lord made it all appear real to everyone else. A lord commands power. And Voldemort, well, a fictionalized name meaning flight of death. My take on that is he'll bring death upon those who oppose him, and also the fact that he has conquered death in general could factor into the name too. I don't think it's anything more detailed than that for the name. So anyway, let's move on and look at the name he left behind. Tom Marvolo Riddle. What was wrong about this name that he's seen him abandon it? Well, the truth is, there's nothing really wrong with the name. It wasn't a funny sounding name and actually had prominence in the Muggle world, as the Riddles were quite a wealthy family. It was what the name represented that he hated. It was a Muggle name. It was his father's name. It was a name that reminded him of how unwanted and how unimportant he was. The resentment he had towards the Riddle family, especially his father, a man who abandoned him, he had no idea about the love potion at this point, was very strong. The name Riddle connected him to the Muggle world. It connected him to everything he despised. Tom had an extra reason to hate Muggles, as it was an attachment he'd never be able to rid himself of. That was unless he rid himself of the name and the person that goes with it. It sickened him to think he had Muggle blood within him. It was bad enough that his mother gave up on life, but to think that his filthy Muggle father didn't even want him, well, it's no surprise he sought him out. Tom didn't just want to erase his own name and past. He wanted to destroy the Riddle name completely, render it extinct. Killing his father and grandparents cut that connection he felt that he would always have. And if he just go back to his mother for a moment, there wasn't a chance he was going to take her surname either, Gaunt. Gaunt, while having a strictly pure bloodline since its beginning, was a name that's reputation was in pieces. The later generations had squandered their family wealth and were living in poverty. They were seen as an embarrassment to the name of wizard for failing to upholding their prominence amongst the wizarding world. Lord Voldemort was everything that Tom Riddle embodied, but nothing he actually represented. He created the perfect persona, a persona that stemmed from the monster within that Horace Slughorn once mentioned, except this monster was now fully embraced by Lord Voldemort. Tom Riddle was erased, along with the past that had shamed him. With that being said, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed my video on why Tom Riddle changed his name to Lord Voldemort. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video, and don't forget, have a good day. I'd just like to highlight, for those of you who may want to check out my personal life, which does include Harry Potter stuff, that I do have an Instagram where I post lots of photos that you can view. It's also the best way to contact me if you have a question or even a video idea. I may not reply immediately, but I'll try my best to get back to you all. You can check it out from the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever. So please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do. It's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content. So if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.